All right, I wanted to go through lessons 1, 2, and 3, just a couple examples of what we're working on in class. In lesson 1, we were using number sentences. So these are number sentences, or actually these are the tape diagrams, sorry. They just kind of look like a long skinny piece of tape. And we're decomposing, meaning that we're breaking this into smaller pieces. And so the three questions that I always ask the students are, one, how many do you have shaded? In this case, we have 4 pieces shaded. And then I ask them how many are in the whole. In this case, the whole is 5. So we have 4/5. The big question is, what is each piece worth? And this is the unit fraction. So each piece is worth 1/5. So we have 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, and 4/5. Well, they're asking us to break out this number sentence by the pieces that they've kind of specified below. So this would be 1/5 plus 3/5 equals 4/5. So this is us using tape diagrams and to write number sentences by decomposition. So we're breaking it into smaller pieces. In lesson 2, this is by far the most confusing things for students and parents. And that is when we have an improper fraction, meaning we have more than one whole. The way that they show it on here is pretty confusing, and I'll show you an example next of how they would draw this. But for us to draw 3 halves, I again start by asking how many pieces do we have, and that's the numerator. We have 3 pieces. And so here's my 3 pieces. And in class, and you'll see in the notes, we shade in these 3 pieces. These are 3 pieces of candy that we have in a candy bar. The second question is how many are in the whole, and that's the denominator. So there's 2 pieces in a whole. And so I'm going to clearly mark that the whole is only 2 pieces. So far, I drew and I shaded a tape diagram for the given fraction. Step 2 says to record the decomposition as a sum of unit fractions. So sum of unit fractions is to add each piece. The unit fraction is each piece. So each piece here is worth 1/2. So I have 1/2 plus 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 3 halves. It also asks to record this decomposition in another way. So I might combine these 2 pieces together and say I have 2 halves, or a whole, plus another half to give me 3 halves. The most confusing thing is the way in which they show improper fractions. And so here's an example here in letter E where the whole is 3 pieces, but they have this extra piece on the side. Now, I think parents are most used to seeing it like this, and I don't really have a reason why they show it like this. They're way down here, other than I think it makes the students think a little bit harder. But really, what you're looking at is the same as this. Here is a whole candy bar, and we have all 3 of these pieces. And here's another whole candy bar, but we only have 1 of these pieces. And I don't know, for whatever reason, what they do is they just block off these pieces that you don't have and just squeeze all of your pieces together. And I know students and parents are usually first very confused by that. I use blocks sometimes to show this as well. So they show us having 4 pieces, but there's really just 3 pieces in a whole. So we have a whole candy bar and 1/3 of another candy bar. And so to answer this question down here, it wants me to decompose each fraction modeled by this tape diagram as the sum of unit fractions again. So I go through the same 3 questions. How many do you have? We have 4 pieces. How many are in a whole? I make students cover up this piece. We can ignore this for now. In a whole, there are 3 pieces, so we have 4/3. And finally, I ask them, what is each piece worth in this whole? And each piece is worth 1/3. So the sum of unit fractions is adding up each piece. The unit fraction is each piece. And so I have 4/3 equals 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3. Now they also want me to give this as a multiplication sentence. And so in this case, it's 4/3. We have 4 times that we wrote 1/3. And so I write 4 times 1/3. And so I have the sum of unit fractions in a multiplication sentence for this improper fraction. This really is the same as this. I don't mind students writing it like this, but eventually they really pick up on it and they don't really have a problem drawing it their way where they just squeeze this extra piece after the whole here. And that's pretty much what we've done in lessons 1, 2, and 3. Sometimes they give pictures and you give answers, and sometimes they just give you the fraction and they want you to draw the tape diagram. I'll go ahead and show one more here. This is 7/4. So again, we have 7 pieces. So I like to draw my pieces first. And the students know that in order to draw 7 pieces, it's actually 6 cuts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 will give me 7 pieces. And the numerator, 7, is how many pieces we have. So we have all of these pieces. The denominator is 4, and that's how many pieces are in a whole. And so I have 1, 2, 3, 4 in my whole. And my third question is, what is each piece worth? And we cover this up. Each piece is worth 1/4. So as unit fractions, we have 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4, and we sometimes call this the long, boring way, which is necessary, but we are going to move quickly into multiplication and hopefully not to have to do so much writing and break apart each little piece. So this was lessons 1 through 3. I'll watch my next video. My next video, I'm going to go through lessons 4 through 6.